Okay.
Hello.
Good evening.
Nice.
Good evening, all. Good evening, all. Welcome to the second day Tatvaprabodhini Kalpa Sthana webinar series. So for that, I welcome our eminent speaker, Dr. Rahul Kulkarni, sir. Welcome, sir. Welcome to today's session.
Thank you.
And I also
Thank you,
welcome
sir. Thank you.
our principal, Dr. Gajan Hegde, sir. Uh, our PGHOD, Dr. Srivasa, sir. And all the teaching faculty of JMC Mysore and reputed institutes and PG scholars and our beloved students. So now I request Rahul Kulkarni sir continue the session. Sir, please continue the session.
Good evening and welcome all of you to the Tatvaprabodhini, the second session on Kalpa Sthana. So yesterday we have been discussing with the Vamana Virechana Dravyas. So where just a minute. So we had discussed about the sixth shloka, where he is explaining about Vamana yogas and Virechaka yogas are the dravyas, six Vamana dravyas and nine Virechana dravyas. Then Roki Avastha, Desha, Dosha, Prakriti, etc. Then Nana Vida Kalpa, Varna, Sparsha, Rasagandha, etc. So while telling that, he has said that this effort is an margadarshaka. So it is a margadarshana means it is a guidelines or an protocol how to prepare the different kalpas for the purpose of the shodhana, siddhi and the sukha prapti. Now again the question comes, why that much of dravyas or that much of kalpas have to be explained? So here Chakrapani explains that तेन नैकं द्रव्यम सर्वस्मिन् देह दोषादौ yogikam. So see, very nicely he says, तेन नैकं द्रव्यम सर्वस्मिन् देह दोषादौ yogikam. With a different type of deha pattern, dosha involvement, doshic propositions, the combinations, and all other factors, there is no one single drug which can be used in as a single, that is sarvasmin. In all these conditions, a single dravya cannot be used. Sarvatra kaleva prapyate sarvatra desheva. And neither a single dravya is available in all the seasons and at all the deshas. So later on he will explain about three with the deshas, that is Janga, Anup, and Sadharana deshas. So a single drug which not available around the year is in all Shad Rutus and in all the Trivida deshas. तस्मात् देह दोषादीनां भेदवति पुरुषे बहुन्नेव द्रव्याणि बहुभिश्च प्रयोगे उपकल्पितानि. So that is why, based on the different types of deha, dosha, etc., the purushas become different. That is भेदवति पुरुषे बहुन्नेव द्रव्याणि बहुभिश्च प्रयोगे उपकल्पितानि. That is why many number of dravyas have been used for different purposes to achieve twofold purpose of the chodhana karma, that is sukha upoga and sukha upaya. Yatha yogyatah yatha praptim cha proktovam shakyate. So however the availability and the yogyata of the dravya, etc., these kalpa have been explained. That is where he has explained about 15 bhogas and 600 bhogas or kalpas. Then he says, Nana vida gandha varna rasatayam prayoge tatkalam uttarakalam cha sukhartham ityartha. Sometimes a question So that is where exactly when we are discussing about why the kalpas has to be with a different varna, rasa, and gandha, etc. So depending on the acceptance, palatability of the patient who can appreciate the medicine while he is consuming it. That is what he says is tatkalam uttarakalam cha sukhartham ityartha. Tatkala means when the patient is receiving the shodhaka dravya or kalpa, he has to feel comfort to receive it. He should not feel discomfort or aversion towards the medicine. And its post effect, that is after the therapy, then also there has to be the sukha prapti. अतः किं प्रभेदान् मदनफलादीनां षट्प्रयोगशतानि भवन्ति येन अधिकः प्रयोगो न अभिधीयन्तः इत्याशङ्कमः असङ्ख्येत्यादि. Now again the question comes, with this prabhedadi and different dravyas, shat prayoga shatani bhavanti. Why only 600 kalpas have been explained? Are there no more any kalpas can be prepared? So, yena adhikaha prayogo na abhidiyanta. It is not possible. The question arises, that is it ashankaha. A doubt arises in the mind, but where Chakrapani says that asankhetyadi, they are innumerable in number. It's not only confined or restricted to 600. The kalpas are asankhya. And in the end of this chapter, he says why he has said 600 kalpas and how many kalpas can be prepared. That we will discuss at that time. I will proceed to the next slide. Asankhyaaditi means vikalpa marga upadarshanaarthamiti adhika prayoga kalpana samartham vishajaha prati etat shat prayoga shata upadarshanam kartavyadi prayoga kalpanam marga darshakam tena apare atra prayogaha kalpaniyaha. Then why he has selected these 6 in Vamana or 9 in Virechana kalpas is Adhika Prayoga Kalpana Samarthan. There are many other Vamaka or Virechaka Dravyas which are available, but these 6 drugs in Vamaka and 9 in Virechaka Kalpas, they are having more proportion or the more probability of making more of the Kalpas. That is Adhika Prayoga Kalpana Samarthan. That is why he has taken 15 Dravyas as an example. Granthe Nishesha Prayoganam Abhidan Prayoganam asankheyatvad ashakyatvadev. Then again the question comes, why all the kalpas cannot be explained? So when Adhika Prayoga Kalpanartha says, why only 133 in Madana or 39 in Jimutaka, that will be the question. Why all not the possible kalpas can be explained? Granthe Nishesha Prayogan Abhidanam Prayoganam asankhayatvan na shakyat eva. So as there are innumerous number of kalpas can be prepared, nishesha means up to the last kalpa preparation cannot be explained in this grantha. Anati vistarena shad prayoga shatabhidanam manda buddhi sam vyavahararthamiti bhavaha. Now okay. So what he says is this shata prayoga or shat prayoga shatabhidanam manda buddhi samvyaparartham iti. Those who are with manda buddhi, so for them it is an example or the margadarshana how to prepare the different kalpas and what concept the kalpas has to be designed and has to be formulated. It is for manda buddhis. Uktam anyatra एतावन्तः हि अल्पबुद्धीनां व्यवहाराय, दिस इज फॉर अल्पबुद्धि, बुद्धिमतां च स्वलक्षण अनुमान युक्ति कुशलानां अनुक्तार्थ ज्ञानाय. Means after seeing 600 kalpas or explaining 600 kalpas, there are n number or infinite number of kalpas can be prepared. Their jnana has not been given here, which is considered to be anukta, which has not said or not explained. Those are all considered as anukta. But for a wise physician or an intellectual physician, swalakshanan anumana yukti kushalanam. So based on his knowledge, anumana and yukti, he can understand the knowledge of this anukta jnana and he can formulate any number of kalpas. So Anyone can formulate 601, 602, and it can extend up to n number of kalpas. So this is only for the Manda Buddhi or at the beginners who are learning the art of preparing medicine. Then next comes, what are the factors? Those are influencing the potency of the drug or the dravya. There are many other factors, but especially here he wants to explain about four factors. That is, Tani tu dravyani, Desha Kala Guna Bhajana, Sampad Virya Baladhanam, Kriya Samarthamani Bhavanti. So see what he says is, one factor, the desha, in which desha the dravya has grown, kala, in which kala the samruddha lakshanas are attained in the dravya or the anga which we are using, the gunas on which they are either acting as vamana or virechaka kalpas, and next important is bhajana. This is very important because most of the time the preservation method is neglected. So if preservation method is not properly adopted, definitely the potency of the dravya which has been collected, that has grown in ideal desha, in ideal season it is collected with sampurna guna, etc., then also the effect is not accepted what is to be expected. So that is what he says. Four of these factors, sampad, that is desha sampad, kala sampad, guna sampad, and bhajana sampad. If these four are achieved with sampad lakshanat, what it does is viryam baladhanat. So already there is potency in the dravya, and more, it is more potencified, it is being fortified. The potency of the drug is enhanced if these sampad bharat four factors are considered: desha sampad, kala sampad, guna sampad, and bhajana sampad. Here what he says, bhajanam means bheshaja sthana sthapanam, sorry, bheshaja sthapana sthanam, where we are preserving the drugs for future use, that is called as bhajana. It may be the vessel, it may be the container, or it may be the pharmacy itself where you are preserving the medicine. Entirely it has to be sampad bharita. So what is that sampad bharita, how it has to be there, he will explain in the coming shlokas, there we will understand it. Now first, among the four with the sampad bhavas, he want to say about desha. Trividam khalu deshaha, jangalaha, anupaha, sadharanascheti. In broad sense of classification, we see two types of deshas, that is atura deha desha, and another one is the desha which we consider for the jangama dravyas and all other things where they grow. So here in this Kalpasthana, we have to take it into the primary concept of Jangala, Anupa, and Sadharana Desha. So in short, how to understand it is, Tatra Jangalaha Paryakasha Bhuishtaha. Means the sky is very clear. It is not cloudy or haziness is there. The sky is very clear, and Paryakasha Bhuishtaha. All the way the sky is very clear and visible. If that is the thing, it is called as Paryakasha Bhuishtaha. Tarubhirapi cha kadara khadira asana ashwakaranaha dhavatinisha shallaki sala somavalka badari tindukashvatha vatamalaki vana gahanaha. Means you can see some thick forest, not dense, thick forest, where commonly available things are kadara, khadira, asana, ashwakarana, up to vata amalika, etc. Aneka shami kakuba shinshapa prayaha, and most of the time you can see shami, kakuba, and shimshapa plants or trees as well. Sthira shushka pavanaha bali viduhyamana pranrutya taruna vitapaha. The stable and dry air is flowing in that area, and for which the stable and dry, the trees are shuffling or they are just swaying with the wind, and it appears like they are dancing. Pranrutya taruni vitapa. If you see it from a distance, you can feel that the trees are dancing. So like that way, due to that vayu which is flowing over there, these plants will be swaying and swinging. And what one special feature we can see there is Pratata Mruga Trushnika Pagudam. Mrugatrishnika means it is the mirage where generally we see this in the desert areas due to excessive heat around. When the humidity in the earth or soil gets evaporated, we feel an image of water around us. That is what is called as mirage. So here it is called as Mruga Trishnika, and that is also dense and thick such things. Pratata Mruga Trishnika Gudha. Tanu Kharu Khara Parusha Sikata Sharkara Bahula. How the soil is there? Thin, dry, rough. Sikata and Sharkara is nothing but the sand and the gravel. So just we can say it in Balu or Kankad in Hindi. Like that way, the Sikata and Sharkara is abundant, means the land is covered with dry, sand like and gravels like surface. And lava titira chorakanu charita bhumi bhaga. If you see lava, titira, choraka, etc., such birds will be roaming in that land area. If you see such area, you have to identify it as Jangala Desha. Many times at the beginning, Jangala we get confused with the forest. It's not a forest. It is like an semi-desert area, not even desert, because for a desert we call it as Marubhumi, where there is no very scarce vegetation. But here, if you see, Gahana, one of many of the plants which we can see. But what important here you have to see is Vata Pitta Bahulaha, the people who are staying over there, born, brought up, and grown over in that area. They are Vata Pitta Bahulaha, means Vata Pittaja Prakurti, persons will be there. And how they are is Sthira Katina Manushaha Prayo Neha. They are stiff, tough, and hard in their activities. So if you find such Vata Pitta Bahula Prakriti person and such stiff and Katina persons, and Praya means generally, not all, everyone has to be like that. Most of the people who are born and brought up in that area, they will be Vata Pitta Prakriti person, Sthira Katina in nature. Such persons are there. And if you see such Desha, you have to identify it as Jangala Desha. Then it explains about Anupadesha. Atha Anupo Hintala Tala Malan Narikela Kadali Vana Gahanaha, means Hintala, Narikela, Kadali, etc. are grown there and thick dense vegetation is there. Sarit Samudra Paryanta Prayaha. And here in Sadharana Desha, the Jangala Desha, the aquatic bodies have not been mentioned clearly. Maybe there will be some aquatic bodies, but whereas in Anupadesha, there are more prominent aquatic bodies such as the river, lakes, etc. And particularly the rivers will be flowing and reaching to the Samudra, that is ocean. That is Sarit Samudra Paryanta Prayaha. Shishira Pavana Bahulaha. Cold, mild wind will be blowing in that area. Vajjula Vaniru Upashobhita Shobhitar Abhihi Saridbhir Upagata Bhumi Bhagaha. See what he says. Now it is the rivers or lakes which are there. The bank of that river or the lake, the surrounding land surface will be covered and looking beautiful by such vegetation like Vajjula and Vaniri, which are like the aquatic plants which will be growing just adjacent to the land and the water conjugation. So such areas where you can see, that will be the one of the attribute of the Anupadesha. The next he says Kshiti Dhari Nikunja Upashobhitaha. There are hills and mountains which will be adding more beauty to that land. Manda Pavananu Vijita Kshitiru Gahanaha, means mildly the wind is flowing, not as harsh or as forcibly, just like in Sadharana Desha. And here, just with that Mandapavana, the Tarus and the Vitapas are going to have swinging nature. So, but not like that dancing appearance. Here it is just they are swinging or having movements in them. Aneka वानरी अनेक वनराजी पुष्पित गहन भूमि भागः. There are many flowering plants or the creepers which are covered in the entire areas, and this will add again the beauty to the area. Snigdha taru pratanopa gudaha. The plants which are there, they are deeply rooted but snigdha in nature, whereas in case of this jangala, they are generally ruksha. That what the difference we can see in the plants is, they are also deep rooted, these are also deep rooted, but in Anupadesha you find more of the snigdhata, whereas in case of jangala you find more of rukshata. Definitely that will be influencing on the guna of the dravya as well. Hamsa, Chakravaka, Balaka, Nandimukha, etc. These all birds which are there, Matta Kokilanu Nida Anu Matta Kokilanu Dan Dita Taru Vitapaha. What you can see is these birds are sitting on the trees and they're chirping. So in this area, when you enter, you can see the beauty of the aquatic bodies, you can see the mountains, hills, and you can see the creepers and the plants with the beautiful flowers. And all these birds which are sitting on the trees and they are chirping, and there is a most pleasant feeling what we can see. For that reason, what happens with all these features what are available in Anupadesha, it affects on the Purusha as well. Sukumara Purushaha. The Purusha becomes delicate. So they become very soft, whereas in Sthira Katina in Sadhara, sorry, Jangala Desha, whereas Sukumara Purusha in Anupadesha. And Pavana Kafa Prayo Deham. Generally, it is Vata Kafaja Prakriti, whereas in case of their Vata and Agni Prakriti. And Anayor Abaddayor Deshayor Virudhan Avirudhan Vanaspati Vanaspatya Shakuni Mruga Ganayutaha. Whereas in one line he explains about Sadharana Desha, because Sadharana Desha is just the combination of this Jangala and Anupa, where you can find the mixed pattern. All these attributes, what you have said in Sadharana, sorry, Jangala and Anupa Desha, we will be seeing the mixed pattern of these attributes, and what it affects on the humans or the Purushas is स्थिर सुकुमार बलवर्ण संहन उपपन्नम साधारण गुणयुक्त पुरुषः साधारणो ज्ञेयः. So here the person becomes sthira just like in Jangala, and also he will be Sukumara just like in Anupadesha, and Balavarna Samhana Upapannaha. Means here he will be uniformly distributed with the both the attributes of the Jangala and Anupadesha. So if we see such things, then it is called as Sadharana Desha. So in short, what we can say about this Trivida Desha is Jangala, Vata Pitta Bahula Prayaha, the persons will be of Vata Pittaja Prakriti, whereas in Anupa, it is Pavana Kafa Prayo Dneha, that is Vata Kafaja Prakriti may be there. And in Sadharana, nothing has been mentioned, means it may be Samadosha Prakriti, that has to be inferred, Anumana Gamya. Whereas in Jangala, Sthira Kathina Manishyaho Prayo Dneha, who are stiff, hard, but whereas in Anupa, they are very delicate and soft, Sukumara Purushaha. And whereas in case of Sadharana, Sthira Sukumara Balavarna Samhana Upapanna, means it is a combination of both the patterns from Jangala and Anupa. So this Desha is very much important, not only for the assessment of Rogi Bala and Roga Bala, even this is very important to know the Guna Sampad of the Dravyas which we are collecting. So that we will see in next slide. So then what he says is the ideal and forbidden land for Aushadhi Sangraha. Now he has explained about Desha. Okay, we want to collect the Dravya from Jangala Pradesh, or we want to collect Dravya from Anupa Pradesh or Sadharana Pradesh. But what the nature or the attributes or the qualities of the land has to be there, which is ideal and which is forbidden to either collect or to reject the Dravyas grown over there. Tatra deshe sadharane jangale va yatha kalam. Now it's very clearly known that when we are discussing about Shodhana Dravyas, so Sadharane Jangale, here he has not mentioned about Anupadesha, because in Anupadesha, as Sukumarata is there in Purusha and Snigdhata is Bahula, so where we want Ushna, Tikshna, Adi Gunas in Shodhana Dravyas, probably the Anupadesha Janya Dravyas may not possess these gunas in required quantity. Hence, Acharya has recommended to collect the dravyas from Sadharana and Jangala Desha only. And that too, Yatha Kalam, in the proper season, Shishira Atapa Pavana Salila Sevite, which have received the cold, heat, air, water, etc., which is naturally, that is, according to the different seasons, Yatha Kalam, Same means on a uniform surface, which is grown on a uniform surface. Shucho, which is clean area. Pradakshina Udake means where the aquatic bodies are on the Dakshina Pradesh, means on the southern thing, on the southern part of the area where you are collecting, the aquatic bodies has to be there. That is more ideal. Smashana Chaitya Deva Yajanagaraha Sabha Shobhraramaha Valmiki Kosha Virahite. So where the Smashana Chaitya means the big Vatavruksha, Deva Nagara, Yajanagara means where devatas, etc., just like temples are there or yajnas are being conducted in such area. And Sabha means where the people gather. Such area should not be there. Shobhrarama means it should not be having with the hollows and pits, such land. Valmika kosher virahita. The ant hill should not be there in that area. So such areas, if you see, it is Smashana or if it is Chaitya, such huge plants are there. Whether it is a temple area or where yajnas are to be conducted or the peoples are gathering, such area has to be avoided or they are forbidden to collect the dravyas. Means what is then ideal? Kusha Rohisha Stirnaya means where the grass like Kusha and Rohisha are abundantly grown on that land area. That is one of the ideal identity. Snigdha Krishna Madhura Mruttike. The mud which is Snigdha, Krishna Varna Yukta and Madhura in taste, or Suvarna Varna Madhura Mruttike, or with a golden hue and which is Madhura, sweet in taste. Such soil, the plants which are grown, they are very much ideal for collection. Suvarna Madhura Mruttike Va Mrudva Va Mrutva Va Phala Akruste means the land should not be plown. Phalakruste means it is a plown area, so means their cultivation should not be happen. Anupahate Annair Balavat Annair Balavattair Drumair Aushadhani Jatani Prashasyate. And the drugs which are not grown under any big tree, where exactly that drug or the dravya which you are collecting will not get abundant sunshine or the wind, water, etc. So hence the plants which are grown under any other big trees are should not be collected. So, considering these things, one has to select the deshas, sadharana or jangala, and the land where exactly this explanation have been mentioned. In such areas, only the dravyas has to be collected. Now, here the point to be discussed is most of the time in day-to-day clinical practice, what we do is we purchase the raw drugs from the raw drugs vendors. Then we are not able to know whether these things, what ideal and forbidden things have been mentioned, have been promptly followed or not. So that is where it's a very sincere suggestion that whenever you want to practice shodhana karma, it is better that the person himself or the physician has to go and collect the dravyas personally so that all these factors can be taken due care. Then next he says, Yatra yani kalajan anupahat sampurna pramana rasa virya gandhani कालातप अग्नि सलिल पवन जंतुभिर अनुपहत गंधवर्ण रसस्पर्श प्रभावाणि प्रत्यग्राणादित्य दिशि स्थितानि. Now, okay, you have selected the desha as sadharana or jangala. You have identified yogya bhumi, and now you are going to collect the dravya from there. So again, when you are selecting the dravya, what he says is kalajan anupahat, sorry, anupagata sampurna pramana rasavirya gandhani. See, you have to see the complete maturation of the dravya or the which part you are collecting. If you are collecting the leaves, a particular period is there, flowers, fruits, roots, stem, bark, whatever. So they have to be completely formed, sampurna pramana. They have to be completely grown. They have to have possess all the rasa, virya, gandhadi things, and further they should not be affected by kala, atapa, agni, salila, pavana, etc. And they should not be affected by jantus, jantubir anupahata. So the due to kala, atapa, agni, salila, pavana, jantu, etc., the gandha, varna, rasa, sparsha, prabhavani, which are not been affected. So such things has to be collected from the ideal direction. That is either from eastern side or the northern side of the land where you are going to collect the medicine. In such direction, the completely grown, matured things and which are not being affected by Kala, Agni, Salila, etc. has to be collected. Now, when and where, which part has to be collected, he says, Teksham Shaka Palalam Achiraprarudum Varsha Vasante your Grayaha. When you want to collect the shakhas, so wherein you want to collect the tvacha from the shakha, Achrira Prarudham. Here, Prarudha means newly formed tender leaves, and that too Achira means very recently the tender leaves have been formed. Such shakhas has to be collected where the leaves have been grown, matured, and are coming to end and shed. Such shakha should not be collected. And when you are going to collect it, it is preferably in Varsha and Vasanta Rutu. Grishme Mulani Shishireva. When you want to collect the Mulas, it is to be in the Grishma Rutu and Shishira Rutu. So that is again why in Grishma and why in Shishira, that we'll see in commentary. Shirna Praruda Parananam. So here what he says, when you want to collect the Mulas, Shirna Praruda Parananam, when the leaves have been shed, at that time you have to collect the Mulas. In Grishma, if you want to collect the Mula, it has to be Agneya Guna Yukta. Whereas if you are collecting in Shishira, it has Saumya Guna Yukta Mulas. That is what will be the commentary explanation. Sharadi Twakanda Kshirani. In Sharad Rutu, the Twacha, Kanda, and the Kshiras has to be collected. Hemante Sarani. If you want to collect the Sara of the Dravya, it has to be preferably collected in the Hemanta Rutu. Yatha Rutu Pushpa Phalamiti. And as the Phala and Pushpas will be seen in seasonal, so as per the seasons, wherever the flowering is there and fruit happens, they have to collect it in that particular season. And how to collect, he says, Mangalachara Kalyana Vrittaha Shuchi Shuklavasaha Sampujyam Devata Ashvino Gro Brahmanascha Kruta Upavasaha means earlier night the person has to perform Upavasa Prangmukha Udmukha Va Grihya. By facing to the east or facing towards the north, the plant has to be or the part has to be collected. Now, if we see this, so all the 6 rutus have been covered here. In Varsha Rutu, you are going to collect the shakhas. In Grishma, the Agneya Gunayukta Moolas, and in Shishira you are collecting the Saumya Gunayukta Moolas, whereas Twapkanda and Kshira in Sharad Rutu, Hemant, the Sara of the Dravyas, and flowers and fruits as per the season. Means now this what it indicates is all the six Rutus, what we are saying, are providing us one or the other part of Vamaka or Virechaka Dravya in the nature. See, it is not necessary that once we collect it, it has to be stored for years together. If an intellectual physician is there, he can use the individual part of the plant which is more flourishing with its properties in particular Rutu. So in all the Shad Rutus, one or the other part is fit and suitable for using for Vamana or Virechana purposes. So again, the same tabulation form, Shaka, where the Achira Praruda means just tenderly formed leaves are there. That has to be collected in Varsa and Vasanta Rutu. Moola, that is Grishma, Agneya Guna. Shishira, Saumya Guna Yukta. Twakkanda Kshira, Sharad Rutu. Sara in Hemanta. Phala and Pushpa, Yatha Rutu. See, here, Kalajan iti, so means which have been grown in proper Kala means Kala Sampad Yuchyate. So, which is being matured and Sampad with Kala. So, particularly again explains Kala Jatan iti Swakala Bhutani. Means if the plant is flowering in particular season, when it flowers in that season only you have to collect it, because nowadays we are noticing and seeing that many a times the flowering and fruiting will take in other seasons as well. So such things should not be collected. Guna sampadya uchyate pratyagraniti sampurna gunataya nishpannani. Means here when you say that guna sampad dravya has to be collected, the sampurna gunas, rasa, virya, vipaka, etc. has to be completely present in them, then only you have to collect them. Then we will see here, Grishme Mulani Shishire Veti Kathanena Yan Agneyani Tesham Mulani Grishme. The Dravyas Mulas, which are Agney in nature, and that property we are using in Shodhana Karma, then such Mulas has to be collected in Grishma Rutu. Whereas if you want Saumya Gunas, the Mulas has to be collected in Shishira Rutu. See what he says. Saumyan Aushadhanim Saumeshu Rutushu Aditihi means the parts which you collected in Saumya Rutu, just like Shishira Rutu, you will find more of the Saumya Gunas, whereas in Agneya Rutu, if you collect, you get the Agneya Gunas in the Dravya. Means what here we can understand is, in a single Dravya as well, the Rutu will influence either Agneya or Saumya Bhava according to the changes in the Rutu. These properties are also changing in the Dravya. So based on that understanding, we have to collect the Dravya or the Upyukta Anga, and then it has to be stored and can be used in future requirement. Then how to preserve it? Grahitva cha anurupa gunavat bhajana sthanagareshu. Here, grahitva cha anurupa gunavat bhajana means what type of guna are there in dravya. Such similar gunas are possessing in the vessels or the containers. Such containers has to be used for storing the dravyas. Prag uddagareshu nivat pravata ekadeshesu. See, in this medicine storing area, either the door has to be on east or to the north. Wherever you see, east and north are very prominent and holy directions which have been said here. Nivata pravatai ekadeshesu means the wind has to flow in one direction. It should not be open and all the way the wind is flowing in that storage area. Nitya Pushpa Upahara Bali Karma Vatsuhu, where some auspicious activities like Pushparchana, Upahara, Bali Karma has to be followed on daily basis in that store where medicines are stored. Agni Salila Upasved Dhuma Raja Mushakah Chatushpadanam Abhigamaniyani means where the Agni, Salila water, Upasveda the vapors or the humidity, Dhuma Raja that is dust and fumes are coming, Mushaka Chatushpadanam Abhigamaniyani. So the Mushaka and all other such creatures like lizards, cockroach, etc. Such creatures should not enter that storage. Svavachani Shikkavishwajyaha Sthapaye. Here Svavachani means covering with a cork, cap or a lid, and it has to be stored. So it means it has to be stored in a airtight container where it should not be affected by humidity, vapors, dust or fumes, whichever will be coming. Generally, they should not come in storage area, but sometime if accidentally any such things happens, but these are to be preserved in airtight container where it should not be entering into the container. So here what he says is Svavachaniti Samyak Samyak Pihitani. So Pihitani means closing tightly with a cork, cap or a lid. So means he clearly says that when you store the drug, it should not be kept open. It has to be kept in a container and airtight closure has to be applied and then it has to be stored. Then once it is done, he want to say about some sahapanas because now we have collected the drugs, we have stored the drugs, and now we want to use it. What are the generally the sahapana that are used with these dravyas? Tani cha yatha dosham prayunjit. And now the sahapana he says with respect to dosha. Sura savviraka tushodakaha Maireya medaka dhanyamlam falamlam dadi amlabhir vate means in case if you are giving in any of the vata or vata associated condition, the vamaka or virechaka dravya should be given with sura savviraka tushodaka maireya medakadi up to falamla, that is dadimamla rasa. So this will help to have a more efficacy in controlling the vata. Mrudvika amalaka madhu madhukaha parushaka fanita kshiradibhi pitte. If pitta or pitta association is there and if you are using any shodaka dravya, the sahapana has to be either mrudvika rasa, amalaka rasa, madhu, madhuka rasa, parushaka, fanita or kshira. So these are all madhura, snigdha, shita and pitta shamaka in nature. So these are to be added as a sahapana. Shleshmani tu, whereas in case of kapha, Shleshmani tu madhu mutram kashayadibir bhavitan aloditani cha means use madhu, mutra or kashayas means which are having kapha shamaka or kapha harana properties in such kashayas. In that kashaya, these dravyas are to be added and then it has to be administered. Ityuddeshaha tam vistarena dravya deha dosha satmyadinam pravibhajya vyakyasama. Whenever with particular yoga, he is going to explain all these things. Now here we have to understand a small difference. What is sahapana and what is anupana? So that is what we say anupaschat piyate. When you administer the dravya and later what you give, that is anupana. But here Acharya says about sahapana. So this is the concept of sahapana where the dravyas are mixed with it and then it is administered for the purpose of shodhana. So that is the difference between sahapana and anupana. Now we are coming with the collection and processing of Madanaphala, so which is one of the Sreshta Vamaka Dravya because of Anapaitva, that is due to harmless nature of it. So we are going to start it. Vamana Dravyanam Madanaphalani Shreshtatam Achakshate, that is considered Sreshta because of Anapaitva due to harmless nature. Tani Vasanta Grishmayor Antare. So It has to be collected between Vasanta and Grishma Rutu. So when the conjugation of Vasanta and Grishma Rutu is happening, the last few days of Vasanta and the first few days of Grishma Rutu. Now here also there is one interesting thing, because after collection there is a processing method of Madanaphala, that also is said here only. But here, why in between Vasanta and Grishma? Vasanta, the flowering and fruiting start, and at the mid of Vasanta, they are immature and unripe condition. Such fruits cannot be collected. But if you go towards the end of Grishma, the fruit will be ripened, and that is also not suitable. So here, the stage between unripe and ripe condition, what we call as semi-ripened condition, in that condition only this Madanaphala has to be collected. That is where he says Vasanta Grishmayor Antare. And particularly in Pushpa, that is Pushya, Ashwini and Mrugashira Nakshatra with Maitri Muhurta, it has to be collected. And what type of Madanaphala should not be collected? When you go for collection and you see a Madanaphala Vruksha, you identify the area, the desha, everything is fine. Now you want to collect the Madanaphalas. Yani Pakwan, Pakwa, Kanyan, Haritani. See what he says. Pakwa Anya Kanyani Haritani. So which are completely mature or which are Harita, immature, which are small in nature, such should not be collected. Pandun, Akriminam, Aputijan, Jantur, Jagdam, Ahuswani, Tani means which are Pandu Varana Yukta, pale colored, which have been not affected by the krimi. There is no putrefied smell, that is Putigandha is not there. They are not been affected by the Jantu, etc. And which are not in small size. Ahuswani. Collect them. Tani pramrujya. After collecting, rub them properly so that whatever the things have been stick on outer side of the fruit has to be removed. Kushapute badva. Then cover them in a grass pockets. Tie them, cover them in the grass pockets. Gomayena aliptaha. Cover with the gomaya lep. Allow it to dry. Yavatusha masha shali kulat mudga palanam anyatame nidayat ashtaratram. Now you have collected Madanaphala, you have cleaned it, you have covered it with the grass pockets, applied or smeared with the gomaya. Then once it is dried, you have to keep it in the heap. Palana means here Rashi, the heap of either Yava, Tusha or Masha, Shali, Kulatta, Mudga, etc. This is one concept what we can see, that when we are ripening the mangoes, we pick them or pluck them in semi-ripe condition, neither in unripe or completely ripened. We cannot wait for complete ripening. We collect them in unripe condition, then cover it with the heap of the grass or any other such things, and we allow it for 1 to 2 weeks. And what happens after 1 to 2 weeks is the fruit gets ripened and we get a pleasant smell of the ripened mango. If this can be understood, the same thing happens. So here, under the heap of all these things, Nidhayat Ashtaratram, he clearly says that you place it for 8 days and nights. After this, Ata Urdhvam Mrudu Bhutani. The outer peel of that Madanaphala becomes soft. Madvishta Gandhad Udgrutya. And when the outer peel of the Madanaphala becomes soft and it emanates, that it releases a pleasant smell like madhu. Madhuvishta gandha means the pleasant smell like madhu is emerging from the fruits. Remove them, then allow it for drying. That is shoshayet. So this gives an first stage of processing of Madanaphala, where you are subjecting it for paka, for you are collected in Pachamana Avastha, then you have kept it for processing. The phala has become pakwa now. Then you remove it and allow it for drying. Susushkanam phala pippalim uruddhet. So now once it is dried, what we have to do is we have to break it. Then we have to collect the seeds, which are just appearing like the pippali kanas. That is why it is called as phala pippali Tasam, that is phala pippalinam. Once you remove the seeds from the Madanaphala, they are called as phala pippali. And in next, whatever yogas we are using as a kalpas, we are using this phala pippali for the processing. And these phala pippalis has to be subjected for mardana, that is mrudu mardana. Ghruta dhadi madhu palala vibmruditanam punaha shushkanam. So once these phala pippalis are removed, then subject it for mrudu mardana with ghruta dadi madhu tila pishta, that is palala, then allow it for drying. Once they get properly dried, navam kalasham supramrushtat avalukam arajaskam akantyam purayitva. So where in a new earthen pot, which is not having valuka, raja, etc., means it has to be clean and dry. Akanta purayitva, cover it up to the neck of the pot. Suvacham, that is again we have to say that it has to be tightly closed with a cap or a lid. Here he has said, Swanuguptam Shikkeshwa Sajjam Samyak Sthapayet. Swanugupta, he has used a term here which is considered to be Kruta Raksha Vidhan. So, Kruta Raksha Vidhan means you have to protect it because now you are storing it. Now you have to protect this Phalapipali, and maybe it is going to be destroyed or get affected by some of the factors. So, here what Acharya says is Swanuguptamiti Kruta Raksha Vidhanam. So that is last part line of this thing. Swanuguptanamiti Kruta Raksha Vidhanam. Now you have to protect. You have preserved, it has to be protected. Now maybe because even saying this, we are not finding any explanation for this Raksha Karma in Chakrapani commentary as well. Then the question comes, what is that Raksha Vidhi that has to be done? Maybe what I think is the Mardana by Ghruta Dadi, Madhu and Tilapishta is itself is a Raksha Karma, because see, once you go for Mardana, a thin layer is coated on the Phalapipalis and you allow it for dry. Maybe that thin layer prevents the humidity, heat and other factors to affect the potency of that Phalapipali. Maybe this is the Raksha Karma what has to be done, and with that it has to be placed in a container which has to be covered with tight lid, airtight container, and it has to be preserved. See here what we have see is Madhu ishta gandho esham tanihi yani madvishta gandhani bhavanti tani grahanyati darshayati. Means already you have collected ideal Madanaphala, completely matured, completely grown, and you expect to have Sampurna Rasa Guna Virvipaka in it, but still it is in Pachamana Avastha, what you have collected, and you have to subject it for Paka or Pakwa in a method where is that Kushaputa, then Gomaya Lepa, and keeping it under the heap for 8 days. There it gets Pakwa, and that is where how to identify which Madana Phala has Pakwa and which is Apakwa is the Madana Phala which emits Madhuvat Ishtagandha, that is Pakwa. Take that thing or Grahana of that such Madana Phala is Yogya. Phala Pippaliriti Madana Phala Madhyagatani Pippali Samsthani Bijani. So here Pippali is just like the Pippali grains, these seeds will be appearing. Hence Acharya has used the term Madanaphala Pippali, and this Swanuguptamiti that we have discussed with the Raksha Vidhanam. Now with this thing, this Madanaphala is being collected, processed and preserved for the further processings. Now if you can see, this is a Madanaphala where it is grown in the tree, it has been collected, dried, and it is broken. And here what you are seeing, the Madanaphala Pippali is like what you have to use the Madanaphala Pippali which have been processed. So now, after this collection and preserving and processing everything, now it comes with the purpose of why we have collected this Madanaphala, why we have processed this Madanaphala Pippali, and why we have stored. It is for Vamana Karma. So now here Acharya explains a standard protocol of Vamana Karma, which the same has to be followed in all other Vamana procedures wherever he explains, unless and until any Visheshokta advice is there, this Samanya or the once Ekadesha Yukta Vamana Karma Prakaras has to be used. अथ चर्दीयनम आतुरः द्व्यहम त्रय्यम वा स्नेह स्वेदोपपन्नम स्वचर्दितव्यम मितिहि. Now, the person who has to be subjected for Vamana, very basically, he requires Snehana and Svedana. So, Samyak Snehita and Samyak with the person, where in the Vishrama Kala, so he has to be subjected for again Snehana and Svedana for 2 to 3 days. Dyavam Trayam va Sneha Svedopapannam. But here the Snehana is not Abhyantara Snehana, it is Bahya Snehana in the form of Abhyanga. So means once the Snehana Svedana is done, the next day the patient has to be subjected for 2 to 3 days of Abhyanga and Svedana. So when this Abhyanga and Svedana is done with proper method, now the patient is ready for Vamana Karma. So what has to be done before subjecting or administering Vamana Karma? Gramya Anupa Udaka Mamsarasam Kshira Dadimasha Tila Shakadibihi Samutkleshita Shleshmanaha. Already with Snehana in Abhyantara Snehapana, Dosha Utkleshana has been done. Again with Abhyanga and Sweda, Dosha Utkleshana, Vilayana, etc. has been done. But to make the Vamana Karma more comfortable and more easy, because more of Kapha Utkleshana, Vamana will become more easy. Because in Alpa Shleshma Avastha, if you give Vamana Kalpas, definitely they are not going for Sukha Vamana. Duscharde will be the condition. With difficulty or distressful vomiting will be there, or else that Vamaka Dravya will lead to the Virechana Karma. So, Samutklishta Shleshmana is very important. Properly, Utklishta Shleshma is there, then if you administer, it will achieve for proper Vamana. Then it is there. So, for that, you have to give all these Snigdha Abhishandi Dravyas, Gramya Anupa Udaka Mamsarasas, Kshira Dadi Masha Tila, etc. These are all Kapha Vardhaka, Abhishandi, and Utkleshaka Aharas. Then when has to be given? So you have done 2 to 3 days of Snehana Svedana. Then tomorrow morning, if you are thinking to administer Vamana Karma, that is next day, if you are thinking on the earlier night, these Shleshma Vardhaka or Kapha Vardhaka Ahara has to be given as one prior night diet. This is very important because the next day you are subjecting him for Vamana. Before that, the Shleshma Utkleshana has to be achieved. Then once it is done, in the next day morning, Yushitam Jirnaharam Purvane. So the food what you are given as Shleshma Utleshka, it has to be digested overnight. Yushita means in the overnight, Jirnahara means it is completely digested. So in such condition, in the next day morning, Purvane means in the morning hours, Kruta Bali Homa Mangala Prayaschita. These are all again the auspicious activities which has to be done for the betterment of the procedure and the goodwill interest of the patient. Then Nirannam Anati Snigdham Yavagva Ghruta Pitavantaha. So in on empty stomach, and if Snigdha Lakshanas are not proper, then along with Yavagu, Matra Yukta Ghruta has to be added and administered for the Akanta Pana. Then once it is done, that is Akanta Pana is done with Yavagu or Ghruta, and here commentary what he says is, if Samyak Snigdha Lakshanas or Ati Snigdha Lakshanas are there, then don't add Ghruta, only give Yavagu and other Peya Dravyas. So those can be given for Akanta Pana. Then Tasam phala pippalinam antarnaka mushtim. So this is very important. So now this is all what you are doing on the first one day previous night and on the next day early morning what you are doing. But the medicine preparation has to be started one day earlier. So if next day the Vamana has to be administered, this Kalpa, what here is saying, has to be prepared one day earlier in the evening itself. So how it has to be done is, the matra here is said as Antarnakha Mushti. What is this Antarnakha Mushti is? Generally if you take, it is Ardha Karsha, which is to be the matra, and again it goes on the person's built, because it is a Pramana Sharira, where Antarnaka Mushti means when you hold the open hand and close up to that, nakhas come to the inner side, and what you can pick the dravya here in this region, that is called as Antarnakha Mushti. So simple mushti where you close it, this is simple mushti, and if you open it, the Panitala, this is what is called as Panitala. And when you make it like this, it becomes Anjali, one Anjali Pramana, Panitala, Mushti, Antarnakha Mushti, which is exactly this thing. And if you practically collect any such small particles, just like Madanaphala Pipali, you can take about Sarshap and other things and pick it in Antarnaka Mushti. And if you weigh it, it comes towards almost Ardha Karsha, that is around 6 to 8 grams. And again, this varies from person to person's build. So here either we can standardize the dosage as Ardha Karsha, or based on the bala and the build of the person, you can increase the dosage and you can even use up to 1 Karsha or the Kola Matra. Now considering it as a standard dosage of Antarnaka Mushti, whatever the Matra comes, तासां फलपिप्पलीनाम् अंतर्नकमुष्टिं यावद्वा साधु मान्यते जर्जरीकृत्यः. Now take that Madanaphala Pippali, pound it and make it into rough powder. Then that rough powder, Yashti Madhu Kashayena, Kovidara, Karburadara, Nipa, Vidula, Bimbi, Shanapushpi, Sadapushpi, Pratyak Pushpi, Kashayanam, Anyatamena Va. So this 9 dravyas, the kashayas has to be prepared either any one among 9, not all the 9. So in the Yashti Madhu Kashaya, Kovidara, Karbudara, or up to Pratyak Pushpi, we will get 9 dravyas. Here, if you exclude Madhuka, Yashti Madhuka, the rest 8 will be a group of dravyas which will be said in later chapters as well. So with these 9, any one of the either 9 dravya kashaya, it has to be soaked overnight. What it says is Ratri Mushitam Vimrudhya. Soak it overnight, then when in the morning before administering the Vamana Dravya, Vimrudhya, squeeze it properly, then strain it, Vimrudhyam Putam. Then you get a liquid, which is the liquid that where this Madanaphala Pippali is soaked overnight and it has been squeezed, strained, and the liquid is ready for your Kalpa Prayoga. If you use only that much, definitely that may lead for Vamana, but again, it has to be added with Madhu Saindava. Madhu Saindava Yuktam Sukoshnam Krutva. Now again a question comes that will be addressed by the Chakrapani's commentary. Madhu Saindava Yuktam Sukoshnam Krutva Purna Sharavam. So this cloth which has been wearing Madanaphala Pippalis are soaked overnight, squeezed, strained. Now you have added Madhu and Saindava, then you have heated it. Or the Kashaya is heated and added Madhu, Saindava. And that has to be collected in a Sharava, Purna Sharava. Means one Sharava where this medicine has to be kept and it has to be covered with one more Sharava, that is Purna Sharava. Mantrena Abhimantritat. So here once you do it, you have to potensify with the divine power. Already the potency is there, guna karmas are there, but you have to invoke some divine power into the medicine. So it has to be abhimantrita with the particular mantra. What this Purna Sharava, sir? Can I take it in a glass beaker or in steel vessel? Yes, definitely. Practically, you can take it. But what is the significance of Purna Sharava indicates Purna Kumbha, that is, which is auspicious. Wherever we go for any worshipping or any offerings, we carry a Purna Kumbha. So, like that way, this Purna Sharava is an indication or symbolic of Purna Kumbha. So, it gets more divinity in it when you invoke the powers by Mantrocharana. So, what is that Mantra Ucharana? We'll see here. ओम ब्रह्म दक्ष अश्विर रुद्र इंद्र भूचंद्रार्क अनिल अनलः ऋषयः स औषधि ग्रामः भूत संगातश्च पांतुं ते. Now here what the medicine you have prepared, that is called as Aushadhi Grama. Now with praying to Brahma, Daksha, Ashwini, Rudra, Indra, etc., all these things, Anila, Anala, Rusha, etc., you are inviting or you are invoking all those good qualities in this Aushadhi Grama. So Bhuta Sangascha Pantumte, for the use on the Purusha. Bhuta Sangha is the human where you are giving him to drink. And how it becomes potent, he says, Rasayanam Rishinam Devatanam Amrutam Yataha Sudhevo Uttamam Naganam Bhaishajam Idamastute. So simply if you give it, it may act as Bhaishaja, but if it is Abhimantrita, just like how in Rasayana Chikitsa, the importance of Rasayana for the Maharshis or Rishis, and Amruta for Devatas and Sudha for Naga. Similarly, this Abhimantrita Kalpa becomes suitable for the Rogi or the Rugna. So that is what is the importance of Abhimantrana. So that after that you have to administer it. Itteva Abhimantred Unmukham Pragmukham Va Aturaha. Once this is Abhimantrana, you have to do it. Then the patient is ready. Face him towards north or east, then you give him to consume or drink this kashaya, which is processed with Madanaphala Pippali. Payat Shleshma Jara Gulma Gulma Pratishayartam Visheshena. Particularly in case of Gulma, Shleshma Jara, Pratishaya, etc., you have to administer this Vamana. So the important here is Puna Puna Pittagamana Tena Sadhu Vamatihi. So once you give this Vamana, you have to wait for a certain period and observe that whether Vamana Vegas are coming. First the Aushadhi will come out, then Kramena, what has been said in Siddhisthana, Kapha will come and Pitta will come, then Vayu will come, etc. is the thing. But the Antika Lakshana of Vamana is Pittagamana. So what here clearly Acharya says, Punaha Punaha Apitta Gamanat. So unless and until Pitta is coming out in the Vamana Vega, you have to repeatedly continue the Vamana process. Not means only this Madanaphala Pippali and this Katha, but again he says what has to be done for inducing the Vegas. Hina Vegam too, because you have given the drug, administered the drug, but for unknown reasons, it is not providing the affected Vegas and the Pitta is not coming out, and then that is to be considered as Hina Vega. Hina Vegam too, Pippalyam Amalakaha Sarshapaha Vachakalka Lavanoshnodakai. Either the Pippali, Amalaki, Sarshapa, Vachakalka and Lavana has to be added in the Ushna Jala, or simply Vachakalka has to be added with Ushnodaka and Lavana. Punaha Punaha Pravartayed Apitta Darshanat. Now once you are given Madanaphala Yoga, Vamana has been started, but you are assessing it as Hina Vega and Pitta is not coming out. So you use this Lavanodaka, which is processed with Vachakalka, Sarshapakalka, Pippali or Amalaka. That has to be given repeatedly, Ushna Jala, till the Pravartantayed Apitta Darshanat. Once the Pitta is Drishta in case of the Vamana Vega, Ittesham sarvaschardayana yoga vidihi. This is a standard process of Vamana karma, starting from the Rogi preparation, that is from Abhyanga, Svedana, etc. Then one previous night, the Shleshmakara Ahara. Next day, whatever has to be done, then how to prepare the Aushadha Kalpa, how to Abhimantrana it, and how to administer it. And once administered, you have to observe it for Samyak Vamita Lakshanas. If Hina Vegas are there, you have to give it Ushnodaka Lavanas, Ushnodaka Sadhita with Vacha Kalka, Sarshapa, etc. repeatedly till the Pitta is observed in the Vega. Then you can stop the use of these adjuvant procedures so that gradually the Vamana Vegas subside and the patient will feel comfort. So this is the Chakrapani's commentary where already we have discussed everything over there. See, someone explains that Annetu Purvadine evan atisnigdasya ghrutam pitavatam evam yavaguhu panamaha. So where if it is atisnigda lakshanas are there, so only yavagu has to be given, and antarnaka mushtimiti antarikruta nakam mushtim parimanam. So this antarnaka mushti varies from person to person, that we cannot say exactly what is the standard dosage form. But again, as per Ayurvedic Shastra, Pramana Sharira, considering Pramana Sharira, it is the ideal dosage if we can take Antarnaka Mushti Pramana from individual Atura, not with of the Vaidya or Upasthata. It has to be from the Atura. But apart from that, doing that, it is better to standard between 6 grams to 12 grams based on the build of the person. We can modify the dosage. Okay, these are all the things. So here, two things have to be understood regarding that Yashti Madhu Kashaya and other Kashayas which have been said. Ratrim Ushitam Vimrudhya Puitamiti Shruta Kashayat Kashayantaropa Darshaka Pakshantare. See, where he says, and next he says, Kimva Kashaya Panam Eva Shita Kashaya Vidhanam Ihochate. So again, that Kashaya has been said with two procedures to prepare. One, this Madanaphala Pippali added with this Kashaya of the, and it has to be heated and then it has to be cooled down and kept overnight. Or Shita Kashaya Vidhanam. Only simply the Kashaya of Yashti Madhu, Karbudara, Kovidara, etc. has to be prepared. When it becomes Shita, then mix this Madanaphala Pippali Churna and allow it for overnight soaking. That is called as Shita Kashaya Vidhanam. Practically both can be used. So both are having almost equal response with the Vamana Karma. So no more much discussion can be entertained right here now. Then with this Madana Kalpa or any other Vamaka Kalpas, commonly the Madhu Saindava are added as the ingredients. Sarveshu tu Madhu Saindavam Kafa Vilayana Chedartam Vamaneshu Vidatyat. So see, Sarveshu tu means in all the Vamana Kalpas, Madhu Saindava has to be added, but some exceptions such as Greya Vamaka Yogas, such as in the nasal insufflation, there Madhu and Saindava are not used, but there also the explanation is there. So Madhu Saindavam Kafa Vilayana Chedartha. So why this Madhu and Saindava is used is for Vilayana and Chedana of the Kafa. Already it is Utkrishta, then it has to be liquefied, broken into or reduced into smaller particles. Here a question comes, and that is what is said, Nacha Ushna Virodho Madhuschardana Yoga Yuktyaha. Because we all Ayurvedic physicians and the scholars, we very well know that the Madhu should not be used with Ushna Sanyoga. Either it may be Ushna Jala, Ushna Kashaya, or Ushnartha means the person who is exhausted with Ushna, as that is sun, excess sunlight, etc. There also Madhu should not be administered. But here, in case of this thing, what we say here is, if you see, if you can see this, Ratri Mushitam Vimrudhyam Putam Madhu Saindava Yuktam Sukoshnam means it is the kalpa which has to be given in Ushna form. Then, if Madhu is added, whether it becomes Viruddha or not will be the question. Definitely it becomes Viruddha if it is used for Pakva and Paka and later on for other purposes. But in Vamana, what he says, avipakvat pratyagamanad dosha nirharanach. In Vamana Kalpa, when dosha nirharana is there, the paka of the Vamana Kalpa is not desired. Avipakvam pratyagamat. Without paka, the dravya or aushadha along with doshas all will come out. Hence, when it is not subject for paka, there is no any virodha. So this is why it is said is Madhu has been already subjected for paka in the gut of honeybee, and our concept what it says, Shrutam Shitam Punastaptam Visham Samam Bhavet. Once it is heat, cooled, and again if it is subjected for a heating process, it becomes Vishatulya. So this is how it can be understood is a simple thing example. Once you prepare a cup of tea, if you consume it in hot condition, it gives a good taste of the tea. But for any reason, if you are unable to consume it hot and if you come after 10-15 minutes, the tea has become cooled down. That is Swanga Shita. Then for again, if you want to warm tea or hot tea, if you heat the same tea, definitely you will find a difference in the taste and the fragrance of the tea, which shows that there are transformation of the kalpas, that it has become toxic. Similarly, it happens with all the dravyas which have been subjected for paka and kalpa is prepared. Once it becomes swangashita, it should not be reheated for any of the purpose, except in such avipakva pratyagama conditions, it can be used. So that is what he says. यद्यपि च ग्रेहादि वमन योगेषु मधु सैंधवाद योगो न भवति. That is some exceptional where in grehadi vamana yoga madhu saindhavi is not used. Tathapi sarveshu iti bahulyarthakam. So more of the yogas where this madhu saindhava are used, so he has used sarveshu. So exceptional cases are there. And here what he says, avikpakva pratyagamana dityanena pachamanam madhu ushnayuktam virodheti darsheti. Very clearly says, wherever madhu is used and it is entering into pachamana or paka avastha, and if it is used with ushna, definitely it becomes viruddha, but not in the case of avipakva pratyagamanat. So there is no any hesitation or fear or contraindication of adding madhu in ushna kalpas for vamana purpose. Make it very sure that for vamana kalpas. Now coming why lavana is used. Lavanam punar aushnam taikshnam upapannam anati guru anati snigdam upakledi visramsana samartham anya dravya ruchikaram apata badram prayoga samasadgunyat. So this is not from Kalpa Sthana, this reference is from Vamana Sthana, where he is explaining the properties of lavana. So punar aushne tikshnam and anati guru anati snigdha, these are not required here. But what is required here about this property of lavana is prayoga samasadgunyat. So it carries the properties or the efficacies of the kalpa which it has been added. Then he says, Lavana upahita sneha snehanti achiran naram. So this is from Sutra Sthana in 13th chapter, where while explaining about the importance of Lavana Taila, what he said is snehanti achiran naram. With very short time, it subjects for snehana of the sharir of the person. So that is what the purpose, Kapha, Chedana, Vilayana, etc. For there it will be helpful. And see here, again in from Sutra Sthana, Lavanopahita ityadi. So here for the commentary for this Lavanopahita is Taditi Lavanam Abhishandi Dosha Sanghata Vichedakam. See, so which is Abhishandi Dosha Sanghata Vichedana, that is helping in breaking the Dosha Sanghata Vyavahi Akhila Deha Vyaptihi. Now, earlier, while discussing the properties of Vamana and Virechana Dravyas, we have discussed about only Ushna, Tikshna, Sukshma, not about Vyavai and Vikasi, if you remember. So, Vyavai is a property of the Dravya where it rapidly spreads into the Sharira without being get digested. It doesn't require Paka Karma. Without digestion, it gets spread, disperses into the bodily tissues and the srotasas. That is what he says. Vyavai Akila Deha Vyapti Purvakam Apaka Gamihi. Without Paka or without the necessity of Paka, it disperses into the tissues and reaches to the Sukshma Srotasas. So that is why, due to these properties, and even this Madhu is also having Vyavai, Vikasi, and Yoga Vahi property, these two are used to potencification of the Kalpa, or to enhance the potency and efficacy of the Vamana Kalpas. Just a minute, I will take 1 minute break, please. So again, it will take very for short 2 minutes. So we'll come with the Kalpa preparation and the Prayogas. So here, before going to start about discussing the Kalpa preparation, I want to discuss in short how the things will come out for Kalpa preparations. So now, so as you know that it is COVID-19 affected period, and for that the immunity is one of the very primary requirement for the person to be protected. So for increasing or enhancing the immunity, one of the best thing is vitamin C, which may be available in the formulations or medicine tablets, etc. For those who are preferring natural vitamin C, so the best thing is the amalaki is abundant with vitamin C, but again it is based on the availability of fresh amalaki at all the places. So again, due to non-availability, you have to switch on to the another dravya, which is next priority for vitamin C. Then the common thing comes to our mind is the citrus fruits. The citrus fruits, among again them, lemon is very commonly available and everywhere available, and almost it is available in all the seasons. So now using for the fulfillment of vitamin C. Now if you take a well-grown, well-matured pakwa nimbu phala and squeeze it, not less than 15 to 20 ml of the swarasa can be achieved. So now this swarasa you are consuming, you are drinking for the purpose of fulfilling the vitamin C. But if you want to do it daily, as it is excessively sour in nature, so once, twice, or 3 days you can have it with thing, and later on you find a bit distress or some aversion. Oh, this is a sore thing we have to drink. Then what you think is okay. Why not? I have to dilute it. Then the concept comes of sahapana. Earlier you are using directly the sarasa, which is somewhat distressing and troublesome. Now you are adding the water. So simplest available thing is water. That is sahapana. Now you are diluting it. Again, it has to be in matra. So if you add more water, absolutely the things become bland, no taste. So if you want to appreciate the faint sour taste and fragrance of lemon, you have to add in the proportion the water as a sahapana. Now for a few days we continue with this lemon juice and water as sahapana. But if you want some more change, we add the taste enhancing as in the form of the lavana and sharkara. Now, the lemon juice, which was the basical thing, has converted into one kalpa, that is panaka. The moola swarasa, then it has been given with sahapana. Now, it has added with other things to make it into a kalpa because you have added some more rasa to it and you have made it more tastier, more bhakti yukta, where desires are there, you can consume it. Now for added some more benefits. So last 2 months I am consuming this lemon juice daily, and as it was in Yadgir Ushna Pradesh, so to make it some soothing and cooling, I used to add ela, the elaichi for it, and that was comfortable. But since last week, my mother called me and where she said, Beta, now it is the monsoon and rains are coming, and for that, climate has become reasonably cool. So now, if you continue with that panaka, which is one of the kalpa, what I say, nimbu panaka, that may lead for some shita gunayukta and it may affect you. So better you add ginger to it so that it will give ushnata to that kalpa. Now again, see, she is not any Ayurvedic scholar, but one thing she knows that in rainy season, Pitta Prakopana takes place. Jaya Prakoma Prashama Vayor Grishmadishu Trishas Varshadushu the Pittasya. That we all Ayurvedic people know, but my mother, she is not an Ayurvedic doctor or a scholar, but on experience and practice what she has seen, she said clearly that in rainy season, Pitta Prakopana takes place, hence don't use wet ginger. You use dry ginger instead of the Ardraka so that it will you give the Ushna Prabhava and Ushnata in the lemon juice. So fine. So this is how The kalpas get modified based on their requirement and the sahadravyas. What at the very beginning sahadravyas have been said, they will potensify or enhance or bring some essential changes in the kalpa. So on that ideology, the kalpas will be prepared based on our requirements. Now we'll see about Madanaphala Pippali in proper the kalpas. फलपिप्पलीनां द्वौ द्वौ भागौ कोविदारादि कषायाणां त्रिसप्तकृत्वा श्रावयेत्. It's very simple. Take the adequate quantity of Madanaphala Pippali and equally distribute it into three parts. And take two parts of it and then make it powder, and then you mix it with any of the one of these 8 Kovidaradi Kashayas and mix it properly and filter it, sravayet, with the uh, cloth. You just filter it or strain it, and how many times it has to done is 21 times. 3 sapta krutaha, and after 21st straining or sravana, what the fluid you get, this is ready for the further processing. Tena rasena tritiya bhagam pishtva, the remaining third bhag of that Madanaphala Pippali is there. Now that has to be subjected for bhavana or trituration with this kashaya, and you go on with bhavana till it gets the consistency of preparing the vati. And once it gets the consistency, matram haritaki bivitakair amalakairva tulyam vartayet. See, in the matra of haritaki, bibitaki and amalaki, that is 2 karsha, 1 karsha and ardha karsha pramanas, because for prayoga anukulata, for using at different dosages, such 3 dosage forms have been prepared. Tasam ekam dveva purvoktanam kashayanam anyatasyam anjali matrena. Now the earlier said kovidaradi kashayas or other whichever kashayas are to be used in anjali pramana, that is 4 pala matra kashaya, 1 or 2 such vati of this Madanaphala Pippali, either of haritaki, bibitaki or amlaki pramana, required on the necessity, has to be mixed. Vimrudya balavat shleshma praseka granthi joradishuchi payaditi samanam purvena. So it has to be squeezed in that kashaya, means thoroughly mixed. Balavat shleshma praseka, for forcefully eliminating the kapha, shleshma praseka, granthika jara, udaradishu, etc. It has to be administered. And sorry, no, jara, udara, aruchishu, payet iti. In place of shleshma praseka, granthika jara, udara, aruchi, etc., this has to be administered in the earlier said method. Samanam purvena means earlier what the standard method of Vamana karma has to be mentioned, in the similar way this has to be used. The next yogas are Phala Pippali Kshiram, Tenava Kshirayavagum, Adhobhage Rakta Pitte, Hruddaheche. Means the Kshira from Phala Pippali has to be prepared according to Kshirapaka Vidhana. Here in this context. In coming next other things, there are some different contexts that we'll discuss in the relevant context. Here, Madanaphala Pippali and 4 times the Kshira, that is Godugdha, and the 4 times of Kshira, the Jala has to be taken and has to be subjected for Kshirapaka till Kshira Shesha is there. And this Kshira along with Yavagu, which is a Patyakalpana Yavagu, if it is given, it is most beneficial in Adogata Rakta Pitta. So definitely wherever Vamana has been said and Rakta Pitta is mentioned, please consider that it is Adhoga Rakta Pitta, because in Urdhvaga Rakta Pitta, Vamana is not indicated, whereas Virechana is indicated. And next is, he says about in Hruddahecha, in Hrudayagata Daha. Now see, the beauty of the Kalpas, Vamana itself is Avridya. Vamana karma itself is Avridya, we say. So because due to the Utshepana of the Amashagata Dravyas, it goes and affects the Hrudaya. But here with the proper kalpa, Shira kalpa, and with the Pathya kalpa, you add it, it becomes more soft and more congenial toward the body without much harm. It eliminates. Even in Hruddaha, we are giving this Madanaphala Pippali Kshira along with Yavagu. Tachasya va dadnam uttarakam. With this Madanaphala Pippali Kshira, when you subject it for curdling, the same Kshira, so it becomes curd, and the supernant fluid of that curd, that is called as Dadi Uttarakaha. Tajasya va Dadim Uttarakam Kafacharditam Tamakka Prasekeshu. So it has to be used in Kafaja Chardi, Tamaka, Praseka, etc. The Dadi Uttara has to be given in proper matra. That will also act as the Vamaka or help for proper Vamana. So here, the basically for Dadi Uttara, which we are taking as the supernant fluid, so this has been processed from Madanaphala Pippali itself, because at earlier the Madanaphala Kshira Paka is done, and with that Kshira, the Dadi has been subjected to curd. Then the Uttaraka, the supernant fluid, means this also contains the potency of Madanaphala Pippali. But definitely it will be with Mrudu Pramana, not the Tikshna. Tasyam va payasaha Sheetasya Santanikaha. When this Dugdha, that is Madanaphala Pippali, becomes cooled, that is Tasyam va payasa Sheetasya, when it becomes cooled, a cream layer will be formed. Just everyone will be knowing, when we boil the milk and allow it for cooling, the cream is formed on the surface. That is called as Santanikam. Sheetasya Santanika Anjalim Pitte, in Anjali Pramana, that has to be consumed. Pitte Prakupite Urakkanta Hrudayache. Now see, generally we come and think that it is the Vamana karma is for Kapha dosha. But here, Pitte Prakupite Urakkanta Hrudaye. Pitta has become Prakupita, then it has traveled from its own sthana, it has come into Urasthana, Kanta and Hrudaya, it has been localized. Now considering Pitta Vikara, if you subject it for Virechana, maybe that Pitta may not be properly eliminated, because here the Kapasthana Pitta has to be considered, and considering Pitta, the Santanika, that is the cream layer, which is also Pitta Shamaka. So Urakanta Hrudayasta Pitta, that has to be eliminated, and it will be effectively eliminated by this Vamana karma. Tanu Kafopadigde iti Samanam Urvena. Even if these Srotasar Urdhabhaga Urakanta and Hrudaya is having a Tanu Kafa Lepa, means it has been just like a thin layer of kapha is made within inside. In that condition also, this Shita Santanika of the Phala, that is Madanaphala Pippali, that is effective. And next he says, Phala Pippali Shruta Kshiran Navanitam Utpannam. Now you have done a Kshira Paka, you have allowed it for Dadi formation, you have used Uttaraka, then you use Santana, that is the cream. Now further that has to be processed for Navanita Utpanna. The Navanita, the butter is formed by this Madanaphala Pippali Kshira. Faladikalka Kashaya Siddham Kafabhibhutagnim Vishushya Deham Cha. Now see how nicely they say about the utilities. Due to Kapha Abhibhuta, means due to excessive of Kapha, Bhutagni has become Manda. Kapha Abhibhutagnim, and due to that, Deha has become Shushka. Vishushya Deha. See, due to Mandagni, the Ama has to be formed, indigestion, and whatever things has happened. But here, the Shoshana of the Deha takes place when the Bhutagni, not Pachakagni. So, due to the association of Kapha at the Bhutagni level, the Sharira becomes Shoshita, Vishushyate Deham. Now, anywhere we won't find any such dravya that directly will act on Bhutagni. But here, this Navanita, which is prepared by Madanaphala pippali kshira, if it is used in matrayat payediti, samanam purvena. Again, at the procedure said in earlier method, if this navanita is used, it is going to help in relieving that the shoshana of the sharira where bhutagni has been affected. Now, the Nasa Margena Madanaphala Prayoga. See, this is all oral administration. One yoga which is considered as Greha Yoga, that is nasal administration. Falapippalina Faladi Kashayena Trisapta Krutva Suparibhavitena. See, Falapippalinam Faladi Kashayena means the kashayas of six Vamaka Dravya, that is Madanaphala, Jimutka, Ichwaku, Dhamargava, Vatsaka, and Krutavedana. Any of these kashayas, their Madanaphala Pippali has to be subjected for bhavana for 21 times. So it becomes very fine powder, that is Supari Bhavitena. Pushparaja Prakashena means it becomes so fine, just like the pollen, even finer than the pollen. Pushparaja Prakashena Churnena Sarasi Sanjataha. Now with this powder, you have to go in search of a lake where the lotuses are there. You identified one well-bloomed lotus, and in the evening hour, Brahat Saror Ruhyam Sayane, in the evening hours, you go sprinkle that powder onto that lotus. Brahat Sarovar Ruham Sayan me avachurnayet. Just sprinkle that churna on that one particular lotus. Come back. Tad ratri mushitam prabhate. Then the flower just the bud will close. It will be overnight like that only. And again in the next day morning when the flower blooms, you have to identify which flower you have used. Pluck that flower. Punar avachurnitam udkrutya. Again, sprinkle the powder and pluck that flower from the sarovar. Then that is used for Vamana karma. Haridra Krushara Kshira Yavagunam Anyatamam Saindava Guda Fanita Yuktam Akantam Pitavantaha. See, this is one condition where he says Haridra Krushara means Krushara prepared by Haridra, adding Haridra. Kshira Yavagunam Anyatamam Saindava Guda Fanita Yuktam. So all these Peya Dravyas, Haridra Krushara, Kshira Yavagu, Mantha, which is added with Saindava Guda, Fanitaka, etc. Akantam Pitavantaha. Till the complete satiety, it has to be drunk. Then you are not going to administer this kalpa orally. Pitavantam agrahet. So just give him for smelling it. Agrahana. So ask him to deeply smell that flower. Sukumaram utklishta pitta kafam aushada dveshinamiti samanam purvena. So those who are sukumara, and in their utklishta pitta and kapha doshas are there, and very importantly aushada dveshinam, those who hate to consume medicine, aversion towards medicine. In such people who are sukumara, utklishta pitta kapha avastha is there, you use this as inhalation, agra, that is the Greya Yoga. But before whatever the procedure has to be done, that is Abhyanga, Sweda, Dosha Utklesha, Ahara, Igara, etc., all has to be done like the standard method of Vamana Karma. Only the administration of Vamana Kalpa, this has to be modified. Instead of oral administration, you have to give for inhalation or smelling. So particularly those who are hating or averting receiving the medicine, in those people you can better use this without oral administration. Then the swarasa use, the Falapippali swarasa has been used. Falapippalina bhallataka vida parisrutam swarasam paktva. See, here a unique method has been said because The Madanaphala pippalis are dry and you cannot squeeze Swarasa from it, nor directly you can get the Swarasa of the Madanaphala. So now you want to extract Madanaphala pippali Swarasa. So you have to adopt one particular procedure. So just like Bhallataka Parishruta, there wherein Rasayana Dvitiya Pada, how Bhallataka Swarasa is extracted. In the similar way, the Swarasa from Madanaphala Pippali has to be extracted. That procedure we'll see over there. Fanita Bhutam Atantuli Bhavat Avalehayat. See, then when that Swarasa is obtained, so you go on heating, go for Paka, Faniti Bhutam Atat Tantuli Bhavaha. That strings are formed, it becomes sticky, Avaleha Lakshanas are achieved, then you take it off from the Agni, allow it for Atapa Shoshana. Now see, first Madanaphala Pippali, Swarasa has to be extracted, a particular definite procedure is there. After that, it has to be subjected for Paka, that is Swarasam Paktva, Paniti Bhuta, that is, it becomes thick, sticky, and the strings are formed, Tantali Mat, and at that stage, you have to remove it from Agni, then subject it for Atapa Shoshana. When it is properly dried, all the humidity is eliminated. Churnೀಕೃತಾಂ ಜೀವಮೂತಕಾದಿ ಕಷಾಯೇಣ ಪಿತ್ತೆ ಕಫಸ್ಥಾನಗತೆ ಪಾಯದಿತಿ samanam purvena. Now that churna which can be used or which has to be used, Jimuktakadi Kashayena. Now see, earlier Faladi Kashaya has been said, Shat Vamaka Dravyas, but here the Madanaphala itself is excluded and Jimuktakadi Pancha Anya Vamaka Dravya Kashayas. In that Kashaya, it has to be mixed Matra Yukta. Then particularly in Kafasthana Gate Pitte, that is in Urdu Amasha, if Pitta has been residing or it has come into Urdu Amasha, in that condition, this yoga has to be administered for Samyak, Vamana and Dosha Nirharana. So here, if you go and check in that Rasayana Dvitiya Pada, so where Bhallataka Swarasa has to be extracted, he gives a very clear explanation. Bhallatakanam Jarjari Krutanam Pishta Swedanam Purayitva, means a Pishta Swedana Yantra is there, where the broken Bhallataka. Now instead of Bhallataka, we just assume and include Madanaphala Pippalis. So in Pishta Svedana Yantra, take the roughly pounded Madanaphala Pippalis. Purayitva Bhumam Vakantyam Nikhatayasya. This Pishta Svedana Yantra has to be put and covered into the earth up to the Kantha. A pit has to be made. In that pit, that Pishta Sveda Yantra has to be fixed and it has to be covered completely. Now Sneha Bhavisya Drudasyopari Kumbasya Arohana Adipaya Krishna Mruttikam Aliptya. See, once this has been done, take one more earthen pot, properly subject it for Snehana inside, then you fix it thoroughly and properly on the Pishta Svedana Yantra which you already fixed in the earth or in the land. Then you apply Krishna Mrittika Lepa. So you apply Krishna Mrittika Lepa on the upper pot. Gomaya Agnibir Upasvedayet. Tesham. Sir. Hello. ಹಾಂ 7 ಗಂಟೆಗೆ ಫಿನಿಶ್ ಮಾಡಲ. ಸೊ ಇದು ಮುಗಿಸಿ ಫಿನಿಶ್ when you subject the Swarasa will be extracted from and that Swarasa can the here, and remaining things will continue in the tomorrow's session. So if you have any doubts, queries, or any feedback, please my WhatsApp number, that is 816091131. Please expert part of Samhita Siddhanta, GIC Mysore, Samhita at gmail.com. That is our file. Please note you details along with it so that it will be comfortable and more effective to respond back to your queries or doubts. Thank you. Be safe, be protected, good and take care.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for enriching our student knowledge continuously for 2 hours. So it's a great thing, sir. Thank you so much. And I also thank our beloved principal, Dr. Gajan Hegde, sir, Dr. Srivasa, sir, and all the teaching faculty members, and PG scholars, and UG students. Please join with us tomorrow at same time, at 5 p.m. only. If you are having any doubts, please send us to the email ID which is created for this event only. Please send it. So we are conducting panel discussion on Saturday. So on Saturday we are conducting the panel discussion with 4 panelists. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.